What is up, everyone? This is Maayan Goldin. We are here live at 5. Shout out to LinkedIn. Shout out to LinkedIn. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to Facebook. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching, you know what to do. Post in the comments, where are you watching from? What is one thing that you're grateful for today? And today, you guys, I have two special treats for you. The first special treat is my good friend Zusha Goldin. I hope I said that correctly. I'm terrible with names.
Goldin. No, you're the first. It was great.
Okay, Goldin. Okay,
Goldin, yeah.
Zusha Goldin. Got it. And he is going to be talking to us about, what he's been up to in terms of his profession, in terms of his skill set, some of the different cool experiences that he's been through. But before we get into that, the second treat is I got a package in the mail today from TikTok. I didn't order anything. I didn't know anything was coming, and it's actually kind of a big package. So I'm going to do a live unboxing for you guys here so that we can all experience what's inside this package together. I think unboxings are super fun. I want you guys to see that this is one of the reasons why TikTok is doing so well, is they're sending the creators who it values the most, who are contributing the most to its system, it sends them like gifts, and it makes me very, very incentivized to want to keep posting, keep creating cool TikTok content. And typically it has, their logo. It's some type of branded something. And that is really good promotion for them. Make sure I don't.
That's really cool. That means you must be doing something right, Maayan, because I didn't get anything.
Well, they've got a lot of creators. I think they do different rounds. So like there are sometimes they send out gifts and I don't get the gift and other creators get it. So it's seemingly random, but it looks like I got a yoga mat, which is super cool because I do yoga and I have actually 2 other yoga mats. Let's see, does it have the logo anywhere?
It has to have the logo somewhere.
Just right here, small. I thought they'd put it bigger. As you guys can see, I got a cool TikTok it says TikTok creator because I'm special. See, here's actually a cool concept. I was just talking to a couple different businesses about this. Being able to put your audience into groups where they feel special that they're in the group is a really, really powerful marketing tool. So that's what works around ambassador programs. It's not just giving someone the title of ambassador, it's putting them in a group where they feel special with the other ambassadors. It's just like a cool dynamic. When human beings are within a group, they want to contribute more. There's just all these added benefits, ideas are better, right? Because people get ideas off of each other. So group dynamics, you guys, if you're a business or a brand, definitely look into how you can start setting up groups within your business and for your customers. If you have any questions about that, definitely feel free to hit me up. But we're going to switch right now into the interview with Zusha. And Zusha, could you just go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell everyone who you are, what do you do? How old are you? Because I know I get asked all the time, how old are you? Because you're young. And then also, what is something that you have really seen as a positive come out of this whole COVID crisis? I know that most people are really, really struggling with it. But and I know you're struggling with it a bit. What's one thing that you think has been really good so far?
That was a great question, Maayan. First of all, thanks for having me. It's I see your content here on LinkedIn and I love it. It's
oh, thank you so much.
And it's great format, so I do enjoy it. And yeah, so my name is Zusha Goldin. I am a headshot and portrait photographer. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, but I moved out to Southern California March 1st to pursue photography there. I'm 21 years old. I had my birthday last month.
Happy birthday. Nice.
Thank you. And so I mean, I guess it was a little hard for me because when I moved down here, I was so excited. I was so motivated. I was like moving across country. I'm gonna go.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna take on this 100%. Like I'm not gonna stop. Like I'm gonna do this. And I did. My last shoot I did was a really big shoot with really awesome people.
Cool. Who was it? Are you at liberty to say who it was for?
I'm sure you heard of Charlie D'Amelio.
Mm-hmm. Of course. TikTok, the most famous person on TikTok, becoming one of the most famous kind of influencers in the world, certainly. If you guys don't know Charli D'Amelio, again, she's got 50 million plus followers. It's probably like close to 60 right now on TikTok. She's, I think, just turned 16, classic American girl. So go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So we did a shoot with Charlie and Dixie and Heidi and Mark, and they're really nice people. They're very genuine people. Very happy for them. So that was right before quarantine. This was March 15th in Los Angeles, and so I was getting excited. I was doing new stuff. I was doing shoots. I was really upping my social media game, and then literally just over 2 weeks after, it's my niece. Oh, thank you. We're in the house. It's my niece. Okay, close the door, Rita.
You got drink service. Nice. You got a little butler.
Yeah, she set up a stand and I purchased it for 25 cents.
Sweet.
Yeah, she's cute. So I guess just after 2 weeks of me like moving somewhere new and to like really get my head into the game and to try to like really pursue my craft even harder than I was in New York, I just had like a complete standstill. And being an extrovert, being just cooped up in my home for a few months, it really was very, very. I mean, it still is. I really was. It's not like I'm going anywhere, but it's you're definitely right. It's very hard, but I will say two things that it did, I think, positively affect me was one, it probably made me have have a chance on self-reflection a bit. I can more.
Yes.
Absolutely. You hear screaming, it's my nieces and nephews.
Oh yeah, it's no problem.
So I guess self-reflection a little bit, and just I guess working on myself, as well as I actually made a post about this a few days ago, celebrating the small wins. Like
Absolutely.
I did a few shoots via Zoom with like some Brazilian models, and it was pro bono. It was just for fun, but it made me look at my craft in a different way. It made me have to get creative. I did a self-portrait photo shoot at like 3 a.m. of myself, and I posted it on TikTok. And
yeah. I saw that in the bathroom, right? That one.
Yeah.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So I guess it's mainly just being innovative, creative, coming up with new ideas and how to just perfect my craft. Also, like watching YouTube videos, just watching other photographers talk about their experiences, the technical aspect of stuff, and basically just the small wins. I'm getting much closer with my family here. It's my brother, my sister-in-law, and their 4 kids. And I used to live on the opposite side of the country. Now I'm living in their house.
Yeah, that's a super cool thing. I think for me, I don't spend a lot of time at all with my with my outside family. Because like you said, I live in a different, not necessarily huge part of the country, but far enough away. I don't have, days and time to go visit all the time. And that must be really nice being able to spend that time where there's almost really nothing grabbing your attention away from it, because there's just not that much going on, especially in, I'm sure, the photography world, where that's an in-person meeting kind of thing. I'm interested to hear that you said you did that through Zoom, that video shoot.
Yeah, so it was basically, I guess I heard about it from, like, I saw about it on social media on Instagram, and then I guess I was interested in just trying it out. So I had this one person DM me on Instagram, and they were like, "Do you want to do a Zoom photo shoot?" I was like, "Sure," but what does that mean? Like, I put my I have my camera and I take a photo of the screen. It kind of defeats the purpose.
Right.
You might as well set a little timer on your camera and then on your phone and then take your own pictures. But I guess it's the concept art about it, which kind of makes it cool and interesting. And like I think like Gigi Hadid or Bella Hadid or one of like the models, one of their they appear like on the cover of Vogue, and they did a photo shoot like that. They literally had their ring light and they had their stand, and then a photographer gave them creative direction, and then he told them to, and then he screenshotted it.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's almost like you as the photographer are less now an operator of the piece of equipment, and you're more like a director of the photo, and like helping them position and getting the artistic kind of angle and properties of it, correct?
Correct. Yes. So I guess that was cool. but between me and you, I want to go back on the field.
Yeah, you miss kind of the photography that you were, falling in love with and having a lot of success, it sounds like. So in terms of like this big photo shoot that you had with the D'Amelios, have you had a lot of like other people reaching out to you from seeing those photos, or like what is the journey of a photographer from someone who no one knows, right? And they just got their camera and they're trying to take on gigs to, I assume, where you probably want to be, which is taking photos of like famous people and celebrities and events and like really cool places and things. So what does the journey look like for someone who's interested in that?
So let me just try to tell my story really quickly.
Oh yes, absolutely, please do.
So, yeah, okay. So as far back as I can recall, I've always loved photography. Back when I was 7 years old, 2006, my brother's wedding in Montreal, Canada. I went through the entire wedding with a really small camera, just taking pictures of the bride, the groom, of everybody. And then come the end of the wedding, I come to take a look at my pictures, and I realized I forgot to insert my SD card. So,
oh no! Heartbreak. Oy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So as far back as I can recall, I've always loved it. So then I've always, right, it's always something that I've pondered. Maybe one day I'll like do it, maybe more than a hobby. When I was 18, I just turned 18. I took 2 out of my 5 regents. I passed them, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to college. So I dropped out of high school, which is kind of daunting.
Right.
It's kind of scary for like my parents, people who are,
they thought like, you just threw your life away. That's how parents thought back then. Is like, oh my God, he's gonna be a bum and do drugs on the couch all the rest of his life. Yeah.
Especially immigrant parents. Both my parents are immigrants.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah. And then so I purchased a camera, and then I called up my family. I mean, I texted. I don't call. I'm still Gen Z, and no one's calling. No, I actually enjoy calling. So I gathered my friends and family, and I just every day I lined up someone to shoot with, just to get more experience and build a portfolio. So I did that. Then I went on YouTube and literally searched up YouTube tutorials, how to professionally retouch an image, just posing tips, composition tips. Now when you have YouTube, when you have the internet, you have everything at your fingertips. So it's not very hard, I don't think. You have to just put in the time to be willing to take action. That's the most important thing, which people don't realize. Action over thoughts, action over thinking. It's the most important thing. And then I had this opportunity to attend Tribeca Film Festival. It's a film festival in New York City. It occurs every April. Because my brother-in-law's friend was a filmmaker who was in a school of New York Film Academy in New York, and he didn't want to go, so he had like tickets. So he's like, "Do you want to go?" I was like 18 years old. I was like, "Why not? Sure."
Yeah.
So I printed out business cards. I made a website, and then I don't know what came over me, but I had like a brazen confidence, and I just went up to every single actor, producer, director, and I just handed out business cards to all of them. Like I literally went up to them. Like I didn't even know some of them. They were like A-listers. They didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
Not all of them, some of them. And I just handed out business cards, and some of them were just like giving me looks. Some of them were like, oh, "Okay, cool." I didn't care. And then I did a shoot with one actor. He's actually on a TV show called Batwoman now. It's on CW. Cool. Pretty big. He's very talented. He's a really nice guy, so I'm really happy for him. And then from there, I was like, okay, this is so much. Oh, I have to preface what I'm going to say now with I was doing like different events in my community, like local events, like engagement parties and different like birthdays.
When you say doing events, do you mean you were hosting them or you were attending them?
Oh no, I was being the photographer.
Oh, okay, cool. Gotcha.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So I was doing that, and between me and you, there is not much creativity and art with people stuffing their face with food.
Right. Totally.
Once I like did that shoot with that actor who who's at the film festival, I was like, okay, this is so much more fun. Doing portraiture with people, it's the creative flow is so much.
Absolutely.
It's so much more. I'm live. My nephew here.
How's it going?
Okay. Say hi, and then I'm still talking. Okay, say hi.
Yeah, except that I have to get a paper.
Okay, go get a paper.
And why do you have that light on? Turn it on.
Okay, go get a paper, see. So okay,
This
Kevin,
is
and then
this is real, you guys. This is not recorded. This is
not
not
scripted.
scripted.
Oh, man.
And of course, if anyone watching has any questions during this live interview for Zusha, please feel free to post in the comments. Also, any thoughts you guys have about how are you getting through COVID right now? If you're someone who also is an extrovert, what are you doing? Please post in the comments so other people can see how are you dealing with being stuck inside. And then also, what are some of the things that you've been working on personally to grow yourself? I think these are all things that we can, think about and reflect on. And I'm sure that almost every person, even without maybe realizing it, has been doing things that have been benefiting them and helping them improve. All right, I just wanted to throw that in there while you're dealing with
Yeah,
the
no, that was
kids.
great. That was great. I concur. Yeah, I would love to see people's comments about what they're going through right now. So wait, what was I saying about the
Yeah, you were talking about how much you really loved the portraiture and how much
Yeah,
creativity
yeah. So then
was that.
once you get a little tinge of that side, it's more exciting. You can create. I feel like when you have uh, a person who's so multi-dimensional, is that the right word?
Hmm. Yeah,
Who's so
absolutely.
complex, and then you create really cool artwork with them through colors and depth of field and angles, and different stuff. It's so much more exciting and fun than shooting events, which
Right.
events are great. I'd still do them if they came up. Um, so from there, I was like, okay, how can I like really create more of a name for myself? How can I branch
Right.
out? And then I was like, you know what? I can't lose anything by doing this. So I went and I DM'd like a whole bunch of actors that I've seen in TV shows. Like I would watch anyone who knows me knows I'm the biggest fan of Game of Thrones. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
I DM'd the entire cast of Game of Thrones, and I was like, okay, basically I just asked them if they'd be willing to shoot, and
Yeah.
I got one response, and I was going crazy because like
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, it's a different level, and that's like that's my show. So I flew out to LA and I did a shoot with this actor, and
How cool.
from there I just networked and then DM'd to more people, and then just expanded upon that. I feel like networking is very, very important in any field.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
So
yeah, yeah.
so was it, when you say networking, was that, you went to the shoot, you obviously during a shoot you get to connect with the subject and the person you're shooting. So was it really just kind of forming a good connection with that person and then them introducing you to other people, or did you just still keep DMing people? Like, what did that mean for you to network from that point?
So yeah, exactly. So every single person that you meet can potentially be opening a channel to another person who can
Right.
Provide value, and you can provide value for them. So definitely, everyone that I would shoot with, I would always just be like, if you know of anyone who needs actors headshots, then I'm the guy to hire. I'm in LA for another 2 weeks, so hire me.
Cool.
So
So, I mean,
yeah,
I just want to jump in, you guys. That's a really important part of networking. And I think a lot of people are missing out on that is you have to let other people know to talk about you. You can't just assume you had a conversation with someone. And so, therefore, next time they think of, oh, I want to take pictures, that you're just going to pop up in their head. That saying of, hey, I'm available if you think of anyone else, that's the trigger that makes you pop up in their head when they think, oh, I need to get some photos done. It's that phrase that you said. So definitely taking action, but then also following it up with communication, and good communication that allows people to know, here's why I'm doing this. Here's the other types of people that I like to help. And if you come into contact with those people, here are the ways that I'd love to help them. And again, it just puts it into someone's brain so that when they actually come across a scenario or a person or an opportunity where you would be able to help or provide value, that's the very first thing they're thinking of.
yeah, you well said, well said. That was very well said. Definitely. And then over the course of the past 3 years, up until I moved out to Los Angeles now, I've been doing a lot of corporate headshots and
That
just,
makes
I
sense.
guess,
Yep.
just trying to build a brand essentially. So yeah, that's my story.
Awesome. So when you say that you're trying to build a brand, I think there's a lot of people out there either trying to build a personal brand or a business brand. How are you doing that? And what does that look like in terms of, one, do you have a really strong idea of what your brand already is? Or is it something that's really developing still and you're figuring it out? Because I think a lot of people who start out in business, they think that your brand has to be like, you have to know what it is. It has to be very one thing, and you're not supposed to go against it or make changes or tweak the brand. And from my experience, I'd love to hear your experience, but from my experience, you start out with one idea of what your brand is. And then as you actually go through business, go through all these experiences, that adapts, that changes a little bit. But also at the same time as it's changing, becomes more clear and focused. So when I started out in business, I knew that I wanted freedom. I knew that I wanted to make money, and I knew I wanted to help people. Now I have a much more developed idea of here's how I want to help people. Here's the very specific types of money and amounts of money I want to make, and here's the ways that I want to help people much more specifically. So my brand it hasn't necessarily changed on a whole, but it's certainly changed in terms of specifically what it looks like. So I want to hear, did your brand, when you started out photography, did you have an idea for what your brand was? And then how did you get to where you are now, and what does your brand look like to you? How do you perceive your own brand?
Great question, Maayan. That's a great question. So I think being 18 years old, even 19, or even over the past year, being like, when I was 20, I don't think I knew much about personal branding, let alone a brand or business, or pretty much. I just wanted to, and I still want to, just create amazing artwork and just do really fun shoots and just create great galleries. That's really my goal. But if you're going to be doing this full time, this is going to be your career, then you can't. That's like a utopia, which can and will exist after years and years of hard work of developing and creating that personal brand. So that's a great question. So I've probably only really started even like paying heed to the thought of creating a brand probably like a year and a half ago, or a year ago. My dad, he introduced me to a few books by Napoleon Hill, obviously Tony Robbins, and then there's a guy named Dan Kennedy. He's like a big marketing guru. He's like the best kept secret in the marketing field, I believe. So I just read his books and different people's marketing and sales books, and I realized how much of psychology goes into it and people's brains.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's honestly fascinating, just realizing how
it is fascinating. Yes, that's the same reason that I am really in love with marketing. People, when you say the word marketing, it's very dry and it doesn't feel very human or humanized. But really, marketing is all about people. It's all about how we think, how we feel, how we interact, how we engage. And I think I'd love to point out that this is completely the normal, I'd say, trajectory of any business or brand that is started by a person who's pursuing passion. So when you start out and you're like, I want to go pursue this business because I love this thing. So in your case, photography. In my case, let's say with my glass blowing business, glass blowing. And that, because you're passionate, because you have skill, because you're willing to take action and be brave and courageous, good things start to happen for you. And you start to build a business solely off of that action, that passion, that effort. And it gets you to this point where you're doing well enough where you actually have the space, or sometimes it takes you to a place where you're in a bad place and you have pressure applied to you, and that's what's forcing you to reflect. But either way, you get to this point where you start to reflect and think about, what have I been doing all this time? Because when you're in it, each day goes by, it goes by quickly, and before you know it, it's been 3 years. And you're like, wow, it feels like I just started yesterday. And you realize that you've been doing really well, but that you could be doing a lot better, because if you're doing this well without having any intentionality or any real planning or thoughts behind it, imagine what you could do if you really applied yourself in those other areas in addition to the passion side. And that's definitely something, that's what I went through with my glass blowing business. Is I made glass pieces because I liked to make glass pieces. And I posted them online and they sold because they were cool. But I never thought about what is my brand until really it was to a certain size where I was able to grow it into something bigger than just me as an artist. And I think you might be in a similar position where you always want to have your artwork, but you don't necessarily want to have to make your artwork to make your money. It's really nice to have a business and a brand built behind your art that gives you the freedom to really execute the art to your passion. So it's like a back and forth. You start with your passion, it turns into a business. You then work on the business, which allows you to go back to your passion. And so this is the process that I've gone through. I want to check out some of the comments real quick because I see you guys are being amazing here in the LinkedIn comments. And I just want to give a couple shout outs real quick. Shout out to Kate. You are amazing. Had an amazing conversation with Kate earlier today. One of the top LinkedIn influencers that I've come across for sure. If you guys haven't checked her out, Kate Strackney, I think I said that right. And she's Kate's actually over in New York. So there's a ton of people who are on LinkedIn that are in New York. LinkedIn's great about like big cities. So if you're in New York, Seattle, Los Angeles, any of these big cities, I really recommend starting to reach out to other people who are very local to you on LinkedIn. They are not getting out either. They are also trapped inside. And now's like that perfect time to start building relationships with people who otherwise maybe wouldn't care about you because they're busy out doing stuff. Now they're stuck on their computer. They might be much more receptive to forming a relationship with you. And then when things get back to normal, boom, you have that right to jump into. So I think that's something a lot of people could take advantage of right now. Shout out to Randy. Thank you so much. Robert, what is good? Thank you again for the compliment. We got Muhammad in the house. We got Susan, who says, it sounds like you've made a success of yourself on your own. Also, just know that college isn't for everyone. True. I tried it out. Wasn't for me. Lost a lot of money doing that. Learned a lot about myself, but not about really anything else. So, everyone has to experience and try things for themselves. And I can promise you guys, it's going to be scary. No matter what it is that you want to pursue, because you care about it, that's why it's going to be scary. It's because you're going to care that you're going to fail. You're going to be scared of the negative outcomes. But that's all the more reason to do it. Is one, you're going to grow through that experience no matter what happens. But two, you're going to figure stuff out. Like, no matter how little you feel no matter how few connections or networking or any advantages you feel you have, going through the process of trying things that scare you, but that you want to do, is a guaranteed growth, a personal growth
100%.
vehicle. And 100%. So I'd love to hear from you, Zusha. What are some things through this photography journey that you've noticed you've grown on just like a personal level as you as a human being? How has this journey of figuring out entrepreneurship, photography, brand building, art, how has that helped you develop?
Well, I'd say that it helps me look at stuff in a different way, or better yet, it makes me judge less. Like, I will look at something at a different, I'll try to put myself in another person's shoes more. I try to see things from different perspectives. No pun intended, not about like the angles or anything. I'm just saying in general with human beings. Try to, really just try to see things from different point of views. And also it definitely has given me more confidence with just talking to people and approaching people. Like I was in before quarantine, I was walking down the street and I saw a whole bunch of like different like singers and celebrities and stuff. And a few years ago, I might have been really scared to go up to them, but now I just went up to them, I introduced myself, and I handed them my business card. Not like they would want to do a shoot, probably.
No,
but
that's
you
so
never
cool.
know.
Yeah, I mean that's huge, you guys. I think I can really resonate with that too. When I started out in business, I was terrified of people. to the point where I wouldn't even have looked strongly at that group of artists for fear that they would have made eye contact with me. And so also for me, going through business and forcing yourself to talk to people really gets you more comfortable with talking to people, because what you're scared of when you're scared of talking to people is that they are actually going to harm you. I don't mean physically. What I mean is they'll say something to you that damages you, that you can't protect yourself against, whether that's they saying something that you already felt insecure about and now it's been reinforced and you don't know how to deal with that, or whether it's them thinking something about you and then saying to other people something negative. I think that's where that's where fear comes from with talking to people. Either you're going to say something that makes me hate myself, or you're going to say something to other people that I value their opinion that hurts my ability or chance or opportunity to accomplish something that I want.
That's so amazing, by the way, that you said that, because it's definitely true. So much of our own inhibitors in succeeding and growing is our mindset and is our insecurities and they're valid. But if you can figure out a way how to inch by inch and step by step overcome them or try to grow with them, you can like, you've seen the videos of like the mom who her son is underneath a car. She literally weighs 115 pounds and she picks up a car. Yeah. That goes to show that it's the human mind and the brain which really has power more,
Absolutely.
So it's very fascinating that you said that. 100%.
Yeah. And I think part of it is when you're going through that process of talking to more and more people, your brain starts to think more reasonably, and it gets out of a place that's pure emotion into going, oh, that person actually, we just had a great conversation. Like, they didn't respond in any negative way. That was actually really fun. Why did I think that they would? Because you start to question, you're like, I was really scared, especially when you start out in a place of like pretty extreme fear, like me, like real nervousness, where like you hyperventilate as you're driving to meet someone, because like the idea of like talking to them just like terrifies you.
Anxiety, it's real.
It's an anxiety, but it's completely self-afflicted. So I think there are some external types of anxiety, but I think most anxiety is inflicted from your own like perspective and perceptions of what's going on. And for me, it was that thought process of, oh, why weren't they mean? Like, why did I think they were going to be mean or not nice to me? And they were so nice. And then realizing, oh, because only unhappy people are mean. And if someone's really happy and doing well and successful, which are all the types of people I want to talk to, I don't want to talk to like people who are unhappy and like not trying, and like they can stay away from me, to be honest. I want people who care, who are making an effort, who are in a good place. Like it's much more fun to be around those types of people. And once I realized like that was the issue, then I stopped being scared of people, and I realized, oh, if someone starts exhibiting those behaviors, that's just an unhappy person, and I can deal with them in an entirely different way than I deal with most people. And
that's
I don't have
problem. It's not a me problem.
Yeah, I don't have to listen to the words they're saying. I can focus on how is the energy they're giving off feeling, and I can just deal with the energy versus paying any attention to like what the conversation's about, because it just doesn't matter. All that matters is their energy is not in a good place. Can I do something to affect that? And once you realize that people don't have that power over you to make you feel bad because their unhappiness is theirs and not yours, like once you make that distinction in your mind, it stops affecting you. And it doesn't, it's not immediate, like someone says something mean to you and you're just like, oh, that didn't feel bad at all. It's like you still feel maybe a little bit bad in terms of response, but you're also so hyper aware that it's like that they're unhappy and they're just trying to like tear you down into their miserable place.
100%.
That awareness blocks it. The awareness is like a shield that like makes it bounce off and like back towards them.
Yeah.
And once oh, go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
I was going to say, once you experience that, then you realize that awareness is the shield, and your brain starts to more actively apply it. So instead of it being something that was kind of hard, you had to make yourself do to be aware of it. Like before, all you felt was the fear and the bad feeling. Now you have like a little voice saying, no, maybe not. And when you listen to that voice, it becomes louder. And then once you see afterwards, wow, that wasn't so bad. That actually felt really good to like block out their negative energy instead of trying to like to deal with it or talk to them, like just realizing they're in a bad place and like blocking out the energy and trying to deal with them in a positive energy format made that whole thing feel better. I don't ever have to deal with that energy again. Oh, I can always do it this way. And it completely changes the person that you are. I am a completely different person than I was 2-3 years ago because through conversations with people, through putting myself out in uncomfortable situations, and through that reflective process, I was able to train my brain to understand to a 100% certainty that people will not ever be mean to me unless there's something wrong with them. And at that point, now I can come in and as a totally different perspective. Now I'm not there to give value or get value. I'm just there to change the energy. And being able to shift kind of how you're interacting with people and how you're dealing with people, I think can be really useful towards brand building. And the way that that comes in is realizing that not every situation is a situation where you're building your brand through your skill set or through your product or through your services. But that there's a lot of brand building that goes on from networking or from communication or from just all the other parts of you going to pursue your business through action that have nothing maybe to do with making money, a sale, or even sometimes growing your business, right? You go and you do something, especially like with photography. It's a great example. You might go travel across the country for a photo shoot. Like you have no idea that it's going to produce anything from the photos. But what you can know is that the way that you're interacting with the people you meet on the trip is going to be guaranteed to produce something for you. And that comes from that practice and understanding and getting your mind into a place of, one, not being scared of people. Like being scared of people is probably the number one thing I think that kills people from succeeding in business. People say it's self-doubt. I think it really is fear of other people, which ties back into insecurity because you're not scared of other people if you're not insecure. But those two things tied together are why people are not succeeding. Because what happens when you don't have that fear is you've done so many times is you've taken an action that fear most definitely would have prevented you from taking. And while the action maybe doesn't pay off in a direct result, maybe none of those musicians or actors call you. You are now changed. You are more confident. You are now more capable at communicating, at delivering what you want your brand to be. And then also, like maybe someone saw you. Maybe none of those people, maybe someone across the street or down the road saw how you engaged and interacted. And they went, wow, that person is really holds themselves together well. They're very professional, or like they had a lot of energy, or they approached that without fear, right? We respect as human beings courage. We all respect courage. And when I see someone else doing something that I think is courageous, I'm interested to be their friend, straight up. Like, you're a courageous person. Like, can we please be friends? You're going to make my life better. I want to learn from you. I want you to rub off on me. And that alone, doing things and having the ability to have other people see the things you're doing, that's a way to grow your brand. That's a way to grow your life, grow your business, grow your own person, grow your own person. So I think you guys, the message out of this whole interview right here is take more action, especially if it's something that drives you and that you're passionate about. So I kind of want to close off the interview by getting your thoughts on like, what are your thoughts moving forward? What are your goals? You're still so young, right? You literally have like 4 to 5 lifetimes ahead of you of what you've already lived, right?
I hope.
Crazy. So I guess, how far ahead are you even looking? And what do you see in that time frame for yourself?
So it's pretty interesting. I wrote up on like Microsoft Word document. I'm like, okay, I'm going to set for myself like a 2-year, a 5-year, a 10-year plan. And then I'm thinking of, I wrote, there's a baby screaming. And then I put down stuff, but then I realized, honestly, past a few months to a year, I don't have a vision past a few months to a year, because the past 3 years have been such a life full of spontaneity and exciting new fun opportunities and travel and this and that. I have goals,
Right.
but regarding like where I see my life, that's like I don't know, you know.
Yeah, you're still
It's
going
like
through it and figuring it out. Absolutely.
exactly,
That's awesome.
yeah.
And I'm glad you said that because I want everyone watching this to know, like, that's a great place to be. That's not a bad place to be. There's so much talk, again, especially in the business world, of like, you need to have a plan, you need to have a strategy, and it has to be 5 years, it has to be 1 year. And I think it's really okay when you're young, especially, or if you're really, I think either really young or if you're really passionate about something, not to have a plan and just to be in that space of pursuit and action, um, unless there's something that is pressuring you to create stabilization and structure, right? So the negative side of being kind of in this fluctuating space is that it's just less stable. You don't have, let's say, a super solid income or business or plan for maybe the monetary side. But what you do have is more energy for the passion side. And if you have the ability to put more of your energy into your passions without lessening the quality of your life, I always am an advocate for that. I think that people need to have more happiness, more passion, and then from that place create infrastructure, create stability. For me, I've never been successful at creating structure and processes and stability that works well if I wasn't first in a place of passion and excitement. If I have to
I
create a
agree,
plan
100%,
and I'm not excited, it's going to be
100%.
a shit plan. Like,
Exactly. If you know, if I have a responsibility or I have a duty, but I'm not excited for it, or I don't want to do it, or it's I know it's going to be done. It's going to be done, and it's
right,
going to be done well.
right.
But if my heart's not in it, then like
Yeah.
you know, you gotta have a passion behind that, definitely, 100%.
Absolutely. So, in terms of your passion and what you're pursuing right now, I know before we hopped on, you were telling me how you're doing like a lot of at-home photography to just like really develop your skill set. What if you had all of the opportunity, all of the resources? What would be the thing that you work on next, creatively, or as a project, or as a photographer?
You're saying if I had like, what
If
do you
you could
mean?
pick anything, like if you could pick, would you just go straight back to portraits? Like what would you do if you could do anything right now in terms of
I would definitely,
your
assuming if
photography
there's no
career?
quarantine,
Yeah, exactly. If there was
yeah,
no
I
quarantine.
would go back to portraits 100%, and I would take a more creative side to some of my shoots, because a lot of the times I allow the my model subjects clients a lot more leeway, but
What does
sometimes,
that mean, you allow them more leeway?
for example, I did a shoot with one person, and someone else did their styling, right?
Okay,
Meaning their dress,
right.
their hair, their makeup and stuff. And it was very nice, but it wasn't really in line with their brand. It wasn't really their um
Gotcha.
you know. So I didn't really I do really like the images, but I wasn't like feeling it 100%.
Right.
So I'm saying with that specific shoot. So I feel like I would definitely put
Take more
more.
creative control, essentially.
Yes. You know, because I'm very easygoing. Like if for
Right.
sure, you know, like you can do, you know, you can choose what you want and stuff. But I feel like I'm definitely gonna recommend a lot more than just
Awesome. Yeah.
allow. Like if there's two people having an opinion about like discussion about something, I'm gonna like I'll interject with my opinions as well.
Right.
You know, like so I'm willing. I'm gonna really focus more on that aspect of the of photography. But yeah, no, definitely go back to portraits and I'm really excited for when that happens, but I don't know
Okay, here's
when.
my other question. Are you on TikTok yet?
100%.
Okay,
In
excellent. Cool.
fact, I just uploaded.
What's your TikTok handle so everyone can
So
go
across
follow
all
you?
social media platforms, my username is Zusha Goldin. It's
Cool.
ZUSHAGOLDIN across all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and
You're
LinkedIn.
the only
And
one.
what?
You're
Yeah.
the only one.
And
Nice.
actually, on TikTok, I posted a video. I have my left leg is like an inch and a half shorter than my right leg. I was born like that. I think it's like called short leg syndrome or something. So there was another guy on TikTok. He has like he's like a different something else where half of his body is like shorter. So he has like a shoe which is like a bigger shoe because of his foot.
Right.
So I also have a shoe that has a heel,
Right.
but it's a small heel. So I duetted his video, and I was like, you know, I never really met other people like who also have like a discrepancy.
Right.
So it was really cool to see that. Nice to meet you, know. And that video got in under 24 hours like 3 million views.
Wow,
So
that's so cool.
that was really cool. You know, like
That is cool.
I wasn't expecting it to like get that many views. I was just posting the video for fun. But,
right. Yeah. You saw something, you connected with it. You're like, oh, me too. Let me duet this. And boom, viral video.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is super cool. How many extra followers did you get from that video? Did you see like a huge boost?
Maybe like a few hundred.
A few hundred? Okay. See,
I got a lot more followers from other posts. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So just so you guys, if you're curious about TikTok, again, it is a very dynamic, volatile system where some accounts or some videos that get 3 million views, along with them might come 40,000 followers in growth. Other videos with 3 million views might get 5 extra followers, like almost no extra growth. So it's really, literally,
exactly.
yeah. So it's really interesting. There's no guarantee of anything on TikTok, but because of that volatility and the unpredictability of it, you actually have a better chance of winning, so to speak, with any of your videos because there really only has to be one strong element that makes it a great video. It doesn't have to.
TikTok values content over followers. Like a lot of Instagram influencers, they come to TikTok and their looks doesn't sell. They have to be creative. They have to be funny. They have to be something. A few more minutes, okay? Yes. Okay, close the door, please. Thanks. So, and no, it's like you can have a certain amount of followers, but that won't get you views or likes. Like you can have 300,000 followers, but you'll have 5,000 views and 300 likes on video, or way less. You know,
I've got 1.7 million followers. I still post videos sometimes, and that video gets like 5,000 views the first day, which is garbage for me. So it has nothing to do with the follower count, it has everything to do with the content. And the cool thing about that is that means that no matter how big you are, you still have to keep trying and working and being creative versus other platforms where you can reach a certain level and then go, okay, well, I don't have to put any more effort in because I have a million people will see the post no matter what. 1 million people will never see your post no matter what on TikTok, no matter unless you're Charlie D'Amelio. Like there's a couple people that have more than 10 million followers that very consistently always get 1 million plus on their videos.
They might have a very engaged audience or ardent fans.
I was gonna say also usually they've figured out a really great style and structure of video that they can endlessly tweak. So for example, there's one guy, I'm terrible with names, but he does a video where he plays 2 characters in every video. So he's like this side and then it cuts and he's like, talking on the other side.
I see him all over my
You see him all the time. Yeah.
He's got his stories always end crazily.
Yeah, they're great. But he figured out one structure of video that people like, and he just does endless versions of that one style of video. And that works because people like the structure and people like new. And so every time you see it, you're like, ooh, I know I like this structure. I know I'm going to enjoy it, but I don't know what the punchline's going to be.
Patterns. Human brain likes patterns, and it's still safe.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
They know what's coming, but they don't. So it's intriguing.
Yes.
And it's mysterious.
It's a guaranteed pleasant surprise, which I talk to a lot of people about this. All we want in life, if we could only pick one thing, it would be pleasant surprise. Because we don't want to be bored. We don't want to know what's going to happen, but we also don't want bad things to happen. So we want some surprises, but we want them all to be pleasant, right? When you taste food, you want it to be a pleasant surprise. Even when you know what you're eating, you still would love to be surprised at some of the taste or flavor in a pleasant way.
That's so true. Wow.
So I think that applies to literally everything in our life. Photography. I want to be pleasantly surprised by photos. What that means to me is that I'm going to look at it, see the original thing, and then my eye is going to find something else that it didn't originally see and go, oh. And that's a really cool effect that photos and art can have in general, is that your eye will be drawn to one part. You see it, you like it, and then you see something else. You want it, and then you see something else, and you're like, oh, and it's got this. What? Oh, did you see this part of the painting? That's so cool.
People keep coming back for more.
Yeah, exactly. So just, closing up here with some cool content, ideas and thoughts sharing between two creatives. You guys, I'm a glassblower. Zusha's a photographer. And there's definitely, if you can't tell already, a lot that comes out of pursuing art that applies directly to your business, directly to marketing, and especially, of course, to video content creation. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here, share your story, share all your insights. Is there anything else that you want to share? And then how can people get in touch?
I want to just thank you for having me, Maayan. First of all, you ask great questions, and it's very entertaining, and it's great. And
Thank
then
you.
tell me 3 highlights of the past few months for you.
Oh, absolutely. And then I see you guys posting in some comments and everything. So I'm going to check out, see if we got any last closing questions. Always want to make sure I get to you guys. Shout out to Ryan watching on either Facebook or YouTube. It aggregates them for me. I'm not sure. Oh, it says linked. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So apparently it's pulling up my LinkedIn comments on StreamYard, you guys. That's pretty cool. StreamYard did not used to pull in LinkedIn comments. And now it is. So that's pretty fascinating. I can just look at them right from my screen.
Yeah,
this is
great.
excellent. You guys, technology is advancing and progressing every single day. It is a very, very exciting time we live in. I know we all feel like technology's been here forever, but we're really in a brand new age and decade of technology like it's never existed before. And every new advancement leads to another one. So I think you guys should all get really excited. Start spending a little bit of time researching into technology. So we got a question here. It says, I'm going to read it off my phone because it doesn't show me some names for some reason.
Okay.
So we go up here. Just a question for Zusha. How do you know what ideas and styles to work with for each shoot? Okay, so how do you get ideas? And then how do you know which ideas to go with for your different photo shoots? And then what do you do to prepare for your photo shoots? That's a great question. And last question to follow that up, is there specific equipment that is like you got to have it as a photographer? And if someone's starting out as a photographer, what kind of equipment would you suggest for them? I know that was a lot, but
Great questions. So it really depends on the type of shoot, and it vastly varies. If it's a corporate traditional headshot shoot, then depending on what position the person is in their company, I would just tell them if it's a male, then professional suit, ties, and professional attire, and then a casual look. Depending on my packages, multiple looks, different color backgrounds. If it's a female, professional cardigans or professional attire as
blouse
well.
or yeah, exactly.
Blouse, yeah, or casual as well, different color backgrounds. So though for corporate headshots, it's mainly a generic formula or a consistent formula.
Right. Okay. Plug and play, so to speak.
Yeah, for active headshots, it's more nuanced. You want to have the focus. Casting directors want to see the person's face, and they want to see all their features. So you're gonna want probably light makeup, more
try
natural
and
makeup.
Get that definition, as much kind of definition and contrast between their facial features, kind of.
So, and also the background should be more solid. The casting directors go through thousands of pictures, headshots this small of potential casting for potential actors. So you want to be able to stand out, and you want to get that shot.
So it's an attention grabber.
Yeah, I'm friends with the casting director. He casted like all the huge CW shows like You, Arrow, Flash.
I love that. I love those shows.
So I just discussed it with him as a photographer, and then regarding like other shoots for like Instagram influencers and whatnot, that is totally just, I'll walk the streets with people and I'll be like, okay, that's a cool background. Go stand over there, do this, and then they do it, and then we get a cool shot. So it's very spontaneous, very on the go, and that's my favorite type of shoot because it's so much
cool.
fun.
Oh, you should. So if you haven't done TikTok videos of those yet, I follow a photographer who he's got a girlfriend, and he starts out each video. He's like, my girlfriend didn't think I could take the coolest shot ever with just this, or like, while we were in the store. And he does, he has someone else filming. I don't know who it is, but filming him setting up the shot, because he does he does the positioning, the direct. It's kind of like directing as a photographer, where you're like, okay, stand over here, and they kind of stand, and then you're like, okay, now tilt your head and like put your hand this way and like shift your body. And it's really cool to watch that dynamic between the photographer and the subject. So that's really cool. I would definitely suggest if you want to go do that. He does them with his girlfriend, but he also does spontaneous people. So he'll just see people and he'll be like, oh, that's a beautiful person.
I would totally do it, except there's no one to do it with.
Yeah, for sure. Right now it's hard, but I bet just as you're growing your personal brand, and if you put that out there, there'd be someone really interested to be your extra camera guy so that they could learn from you, some of your skill set and pick up some of that photography and also get the experience that comes with it. So that definitely be something I would look into.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, for sure.
And then, so the other questions were, what do you do to prepare or set up? Do you have like a bag? Do you do any type of, I don't know, like mental exercises or like creative exercises?
Well, again, every shoot it varies, but I'd say for the most part, it's just from a technical aspect. I'm a photographer, so I have it, I have it down. That's good. I think it's more of just a preparing to meet, because a lot of times it's the first time ever like meeting my clients, like person to person. So when I'm doing a photo shoot with someone, I don't even bring out my camera for the first few minutes. I just engage, get to know them a little bit, get to warm up, and then get them a little comfortable. So that way, once we do bring out the camera and we start shooting, we get better shots.
It feels better, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as well as even doing shooting. The first like 5-10 minutes of photographing them, it's not usually very good photos.
Right.
It's only when to get more into the groove and get more comfortable, then the photos really come out. And then regarding equipment, here's the funny thing. If I gave my equipment to other people, they wouldn't get good shots. It's not about your equipment. It's about your eye, your trained eye, and about your experience, and about how you see. Every single photographer has their own vision, has their own eye, has their own lens, no pun intended. Every single photographer, has their creativity. And so it's not about equipment. It's about who you are.
It's about fitting the right shoe to your foot, so to speak. It's not, there's no best shoe out there. It's like which one fits your foot best. So it's kind of like which camera lens and allows you to dive into those particular parts of your eye and your vision that you notice. Or so like for you, what does that look like? What does that mean? What is your lens if you had to describe it?
So regarding portraits, the human eye sees at 50 millimeter. So that's like a normally starting point for portraiture, like the lens, 50 millimeter. So I have a 50 millimeter 1.8, and then I have 24 to 70 millimeter 2.8, and that's a zoom lens, and that's my usually go-to lens that I use for headshots and portraits and stuff. And so I have so many cameras.
And how did you know that those were the right pieces of equipment for, like when you were going to buy camera equipment, how did you determine those? Because I've gone to buy camera equipment before and there's like way too many options. They all seem great and like they do different things. Like this one's got super zoom and this one's got stabilization. And so how did you determine
mode for the Yeah, I get that. So what I did was I had a mixture of, I had a photographer friend and I literally just asked if I can assist her, and
just what I said someone should do for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked if I could assist her like for 2 or 3 times. I saw how she interacted with clients. I saw how her setup, and I saw, and so I literally asked her, okay, I want all your equipment. Give it to me. Tell me what it is. She's like, okay. She told me what it is. I took her list and I went to B&H, a large store in New York, and I spoke with the people behind the counter, and I tested out different cameras and stuff. And then I purchased my camera that way. And
that's really smart. That's awesome.
It was a great buy. So there's so much photography equipment, and there's so many different companies, so many different, So I guess you can't really say what to get, but.
Well, I mean, that was a perfect answer. Like, go find someone else who's a photographer, watch them do their thing. If you like how their equipment worked with them, then like ask them what they have. I think also that's a good chance where if you don't like something, you're like, I love the photos you took, but like your camera seemed really big. Is there another camera that does mostly what you do, that's a lot smaller, because like I just can't see myself holding this big thing, or like whatever it is you don't identify with that photographer, you can ask their opinion and they'll probably have a really good like suggestion for you, because you as a photographer, even though you use a 50 millimeter, you'd probably still be able to recommend lots of other types of setups or equipment for other people based off like your knowledge of all these different photography equipments and just talking with other photographers, and just your experience lends to being able to give that recommendation.
Definitely. Yeah. You summed it up well.
Awesome. I am just checking out these last couple comments here. So BizDev Jeff Thompson here says, not everyone has an eye for photography. The camera doesn't matter. It's what the artist sees and creates. So I would agree to that to some point. I think though that we all have a sense of creativity. I think some people just have a very underdeveloped sense of creativity. I'd love to hear your thought on this. Like, do you feel that you're much more artistic and creative now than you were when you started photography? Or do you think you're at the same level but different skill?
It's a great question. So I feel like we have to differentiate skill and talent, because there is such a thing as talent and there is such a thing as skill. And I know people who are very skilled and they do produce great work, but they're not very talented.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see people who are very talented, they're not very skilled. And so what happens is that the person who's more skilled will get consistently great results. But it's kind of more like in a box, and the person who's more talented but not so skilled, they're gonna get good results as well, but it's more up and down.
Right.
And but it's so creative and it's so out of the box, and it's like the talent kind of makes up for it in a little bit. And once they acquire that skill and they develop their craft even more, they're going to be unstoppable.
So here's a question I'd have for you then, because I probably have the less popular opinion on this. But I believe talent can be developed. Do you think that someone who has the skill can develop more on the talent side by working with more creative people? Like, do you think that like not rubs off, but do you think being around more creative people makes you more creative, even if you weren't to start with?
Yes, definitely. If you hang out with more creatives, you will automatically start seeing things from a different point of view.
That's what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at. So
100%. Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. The answer of Jeff's question is, even if you don't have an eye, what you're saying is, I'm not talented at art right now. But maybe you've just never been around people, like your brain's never been exposed to that style or way of thinking. It's not that it can't, it just hasn't ever. And maybe go ahead.
We can bring it up similarly to like singing. There's a lot of people who are very mediocre singers, right? Very, 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 very modest singers.
Yeah.
But if they get training, they can become pretty good.
Yeah.
And there's people who just are amazing without getting the training.
Yeah.
And if they get training, they'll become even better. So I guess it's a similar type of thing. As you said, everyone has a talent. And so if they perfect it and they learn how to channel it, learn where to channel it, and how, then yes, so you're right. Everyone does have a talent.
Yeah. And again, I think there's different levels of natural talent that people have that combined with their skill get them totally different levels of results, because results are literally equal to skill times talent. And so what that means is that if you have talent in an area, you have an inherent advantage to where if you apply skill, you will get further ahead than everyone else. Now,
100%.
that's a really advantageous thing to do in any area of your life. But if you're someone who hasn't identified where you have a very large level of talent compared to everyone else, then it actually makes sense to develop your talents more. It's not about, oh, I don't have an eye for this. Like, I think there's a lot of people, right? They don't get into something because they don't feel very talented about it. And the fact is, you don't start, very, very few people in life start out super talented in any area. Most of us have to develop both talent and skill. And I think skill is mostly done through repetition, through action, through you taking your photos, Talent
Well
is
said.
developed by being around other people and by exposing your brain to new ways of thinking. So that could
Exactly.
be hearing other things, that could be seeing, like going to other museums and seeing different ways that art is done would probably make you more creative in your photography. I'm not talking art photography. I'm talking if you went to go to a sculpture museum, the way that you saw some of those sculptures might make you more creative within photography, because you're like,
Definitely.
your brain just does stuff with the information it gets, and you
True.
can't help it. So I think that people should definitely not limit themselves with thoughts
For sure.
like, I'm not talented, or
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
not
harming
skilled at
statement.
this.
It's a harming statement. In fact, by the way, I think I have a quote from Gary Vee. I'm gonna
Oh, I
show
love
you
it.
on my wall here. It says right here. I have it on my wall. It says, "Without hustle, your talent will only get you so far."
Absolutely.
It's dinner time, and I'm being paid. So you're right. It says without hustle, talent will only get you so far.
Yeah.
But that's a different conversation. But I definitely agree. I think these people who say, "Oh, I'm not talented," it's not fair to themselves.
Yeah,
You can't
exactly.
say that.
Awesome. Well,
Definitely.
I love everything that we've talked about today. Again, if people want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Well, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn.
So
Instagram,
any of the
YouTube.
social platforms.
Yes,
Is there a best
yes.
platform that you like to be, that you spend most of your time on?
Well, it's pretty tough. I'm probably gonna have to say now it's between Instagram and TikTok. TikTok only because people are so creative. It's
Because
entertaining
it's fun.
and it's
Yeah.
instant gratification of swiping.
Right.
You can be like, one more video. It's only 5 seconds long. Okay, one
Yep.
more video.
Exactly.
So that's great. And then Instagram. I mean, Instagram. It's the classic.
Right.
Facebook is
Especially
more
for
political and
photography.
annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn. It's an amazing platform. So
It is.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
three.
Well, thank you guys all so much for joining us here today. This will be posted permanently to my YouTube channel. If you missed any of it, please feel free to go check it out. And you guys get in touch with Zusha if you need any type of photography. He is phenomenal. He is an upcoming artist and is going to be making a really big name for himself over this next decade. Someone to definitely pay attention to. So I'm just going to throw up my info real quick. If you guys want to get in touch with me, you can contact me through LinkedIn. Instagram or Facebook are the best places for me. There's also my email address down there at the bottom. And again, if you guys have any follow-up questions, you can reach out to either Zusha or myself. You guys have an amazing night, and we will be back tomorrow with another fantastic guest. I have them lined up all week this week. So you guys have a fantastic night. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Maayan, for having me. That was really nice.